In the charming town of Christmas, Gage McBride steps into his home and shares a playful banter with his kids, Annie and Lily. Meanwhile, Nell, his aunt, worries that Mountain Park might win the ski resort deal, but Gage reassures her. At her workplace, Madison Lane and her colleague Dana prepare for the ski resort presentation. Madison has already decided on Mountain Park for the deal. It's her boss's last Christmas before retiring, and he's determined to build one final resort. Back in Christmas, Gage meets Mayor Ethan at Chelsea's Cafe, reminiscing about the town's former festive glory. With traditions fading and a tight budget, they both hope the ski resort could be the Christmas miracle they need. During her presentation, Madison passionately pitches Mountain Park as the ideal ski resort site, nearly convincing Joe. However, Harrison, head of finance, suggests Christmastown, pointing out the cheaper land and better tax incentives. Joe asks Madison to visit Christmas before making a final decision. At Christmas, Gage considers moving to Denver for a new job and a fresh start, but Nell isn't completely convinced. After all, Gage has been the town's sheriff for years, and if the ski resort is built, there may be no need to leave. Just then, Nell receives a call from Ethan about the company sending a representative to scout Christmas for the ski resort. Excited, she begins planning to impress and convince Madison. While driving to Christmas, Madison, on a call with Dana, remains firm on Mountain Park for the resort, viewing her visit to the town as a mere formality. However, things take a turn when she accidentally crashes into the town's welcome sign and runs over the Santa Claus signpost. Meanwhile, at the town hall, Rachel, Ethan, and Nell scramble to prepare for Madison's visit. Determined to secure the deal, Nell plans to find a way to keep Madison in town if the presentation doesn't go as expected. Gage arrives at the accident scene, introduces himself as sheriff, and checks Madison for a concussion. She blames the sign for distracting her, which makes him chuckle. He's also surprised to learn she's the representative for the company. Madison explains she's just covering all bases because her boss insists, though she doesn't think the resort belongs in Christmas. Eager to leave, she asks Gage for a ride to the town hall, since her car needs repairs. After meeting the team, Madison gets the shock of her life when she learns Gage is from Christmas and pulls him aside to smooth over their earlier conversation at the border. Gage suggests the company should send someone impartial. And while Madison still doesn't think the town is a good fit, she offers to keep an open mind, well, just until her car is fixed. As Ethan wraps up the presentation, Madison, clearly unimpressed, starts packing up, eager to leave and hoping her car is ready to go. Just then, Tom arrives with the news that the car won't be ready for a few days. This is all part of Nell's master plan, devised beforehand to keep her in Christmas and change her mind. Desperate to impress, Nell suddenly mentions the long-forgotten Festival of Lights, which hasn't been held in years. She claims they've planned a surprise for Madison, with the festival set to take place the next day, and even offers her the honor of pushing the button to light up the town. Left with no choice but to stay for the weekend, Madison asks about a hotel, and Rachel offers a room at her bed and breakfast. Nell and Gage tour Madison around town, sharing its history and charm. As they walk, they try to keep her distracted while their co-conspirators secretly gather the Christmas lights for the impromptu festival. Nell continues to mention more long-forgotten holiday activities the town typically hosts, hoping to win her over. Back at the house, they invite Madison to dinner, and Gage introduces her to Lily and Annie. When Lily learns Madison likes reindeer, she unexpectedly gives her a big hug. Just then, Madison excuses herself to make a call to her boss and stumbles upon Gage's personal workspace. Catching her snooping, Gage observes that she must not have children. Noting how she hugged Lily awkwardly, Madison justifies it, saying Lily took her by surprise. Curious, Gage asks where she grew up, and she mentions Philadelphia, though Denver is now home. It feels like she's trying to convince both herself and him, explaining that she moved to Denver for work and a great opportunity. Gage reveals he has a job offer in Denver and asks Madison to keep it quiet. She agrees, in exchange for him keeping her accident a secret. Still set on Mountain Park, Madison jokes that it doesn't have a distracting Christmas sign. Gage chuckles, pointing out that Christmas also doesn't have one either, thanks to her. At the bed and breakfast, Madison finds a hamper from Rachel and goes to thank her, but is puzzled to see Rachel awkwardly hauling Christmas lights down the yard. Little does she know. Meanwhile, Nell, Ethan, Gage, and the rest of the team are busy setting up for the festival. Ethan wonders why it hasn't been held in years, forgetting the town's budget and tourism issues. Gage doubts the decorations will sway Madison, but Nell is determined to make her fall in love with the town's traditions. When Gabe questions how she plans to keep Madison around, Nell simply says, "Glue gun." Trust Nell and her wild ideas. The next morning, Nell convinces Madison to glue decorations with the kids. While Annie's uninterested, Lily enjoys it. After a failed attempt with the glue gun, Madison admits she doesn't do Christmas celebrations because of work. Nell, ever clever, suggests Gage drive her around for shopping and to show her the town's hidden gems. At the shop, Madison curiously asks about Nell, and Gage explains that she moved in to help after his wife passed. Despite being a handful, Nell is kind-hearted. They share some playful banter before heading out. At the park, Nell remains optimistic about the festival and suggests more activities to impress Madison. Gage rushes off after a call about Annie. While arguing with Harrison about the resort site, Madison unexpectedly finds Gage at the cafe, scolding Annie for forgetting to pick up Lily. Determined to know the problem, Madison enters the cafe to talk to Annie, who stays quiet. Chelsea awkwardly brings up the Festival of Lights but nearly slips up when Madison involves Annie in the conversation. Thankfully, Annie plays along. As they leave, Madison offers to walk with her and gets Annie to open up about her lack of excitement for Christmas. At the festival, Madison tells Gage that one event won't convince her to choose Christmas for the resort, as the town needs more tourism. She's then asked to push the button to light up the town and invites Annie and Lily to join her. Unaware the button is a prop, Madison pushes it, while Tom plugs in the cable. After a failed first attempt, the lights finally light up on the second try, filling the town with warmth and cheer. Despite the charm of the event, Madison remains unconvinced that Christmas is the right location for the resort. One event isn't enough to attract tourists, and with regret, she has to return to Denver. Madison's plans to leave are derailed when she's told it'll take a week to fix her car. She calls Joe to update him, promising to find another way back, but he insists she stay for a few days to review the updated offer from Christmas. Though Madison prefers Mountain Park, Joe asks her to get to know Christmas better. Frustrated, Madison asks Gage and Nell about the town's next big event to learn more about Christmas, as she'll be staying for a few days. They hesitate at first, caught off guard, but Gage eventually mentions the ornament hunt. Nell cleverly suggests Madison help Gage with the ornaments. As they work on the ornaments back at home, Gage explains how the event works. The winner is the person who finds the most ornaments hidden around the town square, with trophies as prizes. Madison suggests adding more prizes, like coupons or freebies from local businesses, such as dessert or lunch at the cafe, and Gage instantly warms to the idea, promising to discuss it with Ethan. Madison wonders why Gage is considering the job in Denver when he clearly loves Christmas, but he feels ready for a change after being the county sheriff for too long. Madison believes most people stick to one thing, and for her, the right opportunity would mean staying in a job she loves. Nell invites Madison to make Christmas cookies and cleverly pitches the ski resort as a fresh start for the town. Madison is soon roped into tree shopping with the family, where she suggests a game to get Annie involved. Eventually, Annie has fun, and they all enjoy the time together. Back home, Annie asks about Madison's childhood Christmas, and she shares fond memories. They light the tree, and it's a beautiful moment. Gage admits he was wrong about Madison not being good with kids. However, he worries the kids will get too attached when she leaves. On the first day of the hunt, Madison, Gage, Nell, and the kids make good progress. Curious, Madison asks about Gage's relationship with Rachel. He opens up, explaining he doesn't date because he's not ready, while Madison stays single due to her frequent work travels. Their team wins, and in the excitement, Madison jumps into Gage's arms, sharing a brief moment as they lock eyes, leaving Rachel looking disappointed. Gage walks Madison to the bed and breakfast, and despite her protests, she's starting to enjoy her time at Christmas. The next morning, Nell and the group plan another event. Rachel raises concerns about the cost, but some sacrifices are made, and the money won't be an issue. Once again, Nell manages to convince Madison to join in their activity, with Gage playing Santa and Madison as Mrs. Claus. Later that evening, after putting the girls to bed, Gage overhears Madison on the phone with Joe, admitting that Christmas might be a good option for the resort and that she'd like to stay a few more days. It seems her strong resolve is finally starting to break. The next day, Madison tells Gage that Joe is considering Christmas for the resort, which is good news. However, she doesn't stay long enough in any town to see the resort thrive due to her work. At the bed and breakfast, Rachel suggests that Madison isn't right for Gage, claiming he needs someone from the town who will be there for him and the kids. It's quite obvious she's talking about herself. Hearing Rachel's comment, Madison accidentally reveals Gage's intention to accept a job offer in Denver. Surprising Rachel, regretting her slip, Madison quickly retreats to her room. The next day, she tries to tell Gage about her mistake, but gets distracted before she can. Annie, uninterested in the choir rehearsals, sits out, but Madison persuades her to join in. Meanwhile, Ethan shares his newfound perspective on change, realizing he doesn't have to give up what's important, and Madison is glad to hear this. Joe finally agrees to build the resort at Christmas, and Madison plans to announce it at the Christmas Eve celebration. However, all that glitters is not gold, as Madison soon realizes that the resort would change everything that makes Christmas special. High-rise buildings would replace much of the town, forcing small shops to close. She never considered this before, as she typically leaves towns right after the deal is made. Madison sets out to convince Joe to reconsider the resort at Christmas. Surprised by her change of heart, Joe listens as she explains her concerns about the resort's impact on the town. However, he struggles to understand her point of view. At the Christmas fair, Madison attempts to discuss the resort with Gage, but is interrupted when Ethan calls her on stage to present the town's key. Seizing the moment, she informs the crowd that the resort is not good for Christmas, leaving the townspeople disappointed. Gage steps on stage to calm the crowd and urges them to hear Madison out, but Rachel interrupts, announcing that Gage is leaving for a job in Denver, shocking everyone. As tensions rise, Madison tries to apologize, but Gage walks off. Undeterred, she follows him, trying to explain, but Gage feels their credibility with the town is ruined. Madison apologizes once more before leaving, feeling dejected. At the house, Madison says her goodbyes to the girls, and Annie gives her a heartfelt Christmas gift. Gage and Madison both feel torn and sad about her departure, but Gage doesn't stop her. The next day, Nell reflects on their efforts to change Madison's mind with forgotten traditions. Despite it all, she's grateful to Madison for helping them realize what truly makes Christmas feel like home. Back at the firm, Madison packs up her things, fearing she'll be fired for her failure. But when she sees the gift Annie gave her, an idea strikes. She quickly gathers her things and rushes off to meet Joe. Back in Christmas, Gage clarifies that he's no longer taking the Denver job. Joe addresses the crowd, introducing Madison, who then steps up to share her new proposal for the town. Madison shares how her perspective on Christmas has changed, explaining that instead of building the resort, the firm now wants to invest in the town. This will help revive its long-lost traditions and boost tourism year-round. She unveils the new slogan, "Christmas means home all year round," which excites everyone. Joe congratulates Madison and appoints her to oversee the town's new investment. Meanwhile, Madison and the McBride family deliver a heartfelt performance of the Christmas song. Gage is the one who has reminded Madison of the true meaning of Christmas and her need to return home and embrace it. Gage, feeling like a part of him left when she did, urges her not to leave again. She agrees, stands on her tiptoes, and they share a passionate kiss, sealing their love and Christmas.